This episode of Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
And by Ting.com. Head over to last.ting.com and save $25 off your first device.
Welcome to Linux Action Show Season 30, Episode 10, a.k.a. Episode 300. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
Are you ready for me to tell folks all about the big show today?
Been looking forward to it all month.
Boy, that's an understatement. Boy, I sure have too. We've got a really fun show. So this week, we've decided to celebrate episode 300, the whole entire episode, and really, it's about you guys. We had all these different ideas, but at the end of the day, we decided to do something really fun. So, coming up in the news segment, we're going to take care of some business because some big stuff happened this week. You've all probably heard about the big 180 that Mark Shuttleworth and Ubuntu took this week. We'll be talking about that. Also, the Debian project made a big decision, and I also want to check around this whole Firefox is getting ads thing. I think that's probably something we should discuss.
Yeah.
In the main segment, not one, but two big surprises are coming up for you guys. I cannot wait to get to that segment, so stay tuned. We even have a surprise in our feedback segment and in our pick segment. All over the place, we're having fun today. It really is a celebration. So I thought it would be fun, since we always do a Runs Linux every single week, why not start with a physical, in real life, Runs Linux from one of our very own out in the audience. Noah sent in this, I think it's pronounced Microtech?
I'm going to say it sounds like a Batman villain, but yeah, I mean, it's Microtech. It's hard to pronounce it, though.
I have a policy these days of trying not to do Runs Linux. I try not to make the first thing we talk about something I can't pronounce. That's just bad. It's a bad show. But this is so cool, and it's so awesome to see one of our own community members working on something like this. So here it is right here. I've got it. I'm going to do an unboxing right here on the show, Matt.
Microtech. I think that's pretty close.
And this is... These boxes, this is the RB750 series, and it is a full Cisco a competitive router, you could call it.
Yeah.
Look at this thing. Now, this runs on two things. The OS is called Router OS. That's Linux-based. And then it runs on something called Router Board. That's their platform. And one of the things they do that's really cool about this, same software stack and features, just different hardware capabilities. And they're really going after the Cisco market. But look at this price. You get it here from, I think Noah's company is called Altispeed. If you look at there, $70 for this thing is what they're selling.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, so he sent in a little letter with it, Matt.
That's awesome.
So I'll just read a few pieces of it. He says, Dear Chris and Matt, below is an explanation of why an IT support company, we switched from Microtech routers from Cisco. And this has been our experience so far. Like many other IT professionals, we started with Cisco equipment. Obtaining Cisco certifications was a great way to sell services to potential clients. As Cisco primarily dominates networks and almost offers everyone support for them, they were a natural choice for a long time. But what we eventually realized is over time, two big downsides to Cisco. First, they're really expensive. Yeah. The thought of grabbing even a 1900 series router and using it in your home is basically out of the question for most people. Most of our team finds that being able to find something and play with it for an extended period of time is really the best way to learn. Why they chose a Microtech router? They began searching for a router to sell and support for their clients, and they needed a few key things. It needed to be well supported, it needed to be cost effective, and needed to handle high traffic and preferably be Linux-based. They've been using it for over a year. They've been deploying them at the clients, and they've been extremely happy with them. He says here, Noah says, he thinks the last audience would really be interested because they have absolutely no problem aside from a few configuration errors when they first started working with these routers, and they fully continue to support and install these devices. They've watched the show over the years, seen us try different routers and firewall solutions in our homes and studios, and they've found that they've been trying to solve the same challenges. A powerful Linux-based, inexpensive router seems like something that needs to be shared with the last community. So that's pretty awesome. And he's going to let us keep this one to play with it. So we might do a review in the future.
Right?
And so it comes in this little box, and you can get bigger and bigger units. And what's great is if you learn the syntax for this OS, even on this little $60 unit, you can scale it all the way up to the big boy enterprise editions. Yes. And that same skill set you learned on this guy is applicable to them. So, getting these at home, putting these at small branch offices seems really reasonable to me. And I've looked at a lot of routers out there, too, and I think this is a pretty good, compelling one. I'll put it through its paces. I was actually thinking about maybe using it in the new studio.
That's exactly what I would suggest.
Yeah, and you see it's got a little wall mount unit. Sure, it's fun being able to actually hold our Runs Linux this week. So here it is, the physical unit, and you can see on the back it's got 5 gigabit Ethernet ports and an external power adapter. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's the this is the router board platform, and they have if you crack this thing open, It's almost looks like a little bit like a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's really neat.
Nice.
So it's so cool too. As general purpose computing technology comes, it gives people capabilities that before were only available to people with huge budgets. And when you enable people with that kind of technology, it lets people learn that were never able to learn before.
Well, I think it's like you got someone who maybe it's going into a home-based business that really does need a proper routing setup. This is a great entry-level approach that they can come into it, learn the syntax, and then build from there.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Good
We'll have
stuff.
a link to it in the show notes. And by the way, the hardware specs on this guy, the RB750 400 megahertz processor, 32 megabytes of RAM. Again, you don't need anything killer for a router, right? It has a great operating range, max power consumption 2.5 watts. Nice. How about that? It can even do PoE too if you have power over Ethernet capabilities. And then they have higher and higher end units that offer more and more. So this is such a cool. I love this. I love this idea. And as an old IT guy, I think I'm particularly fond of it because I wasn't able to get serious with firewalls until I had a company buying them for me. And that was really what took my career to the next level. And it got me into pen testing and all kinds of stuff. So I think these kind of things can be huge.
Nice.
So thanks to Noah for sending that in. We'll take a look at it in the future. And if you guys joined us at Linux Fest Northwest last year, you might remember Noah.
Yes.
Now, because this is episode 300, I thought it'd be fun to do double picks for everything.
Right? Why not?
Yeah, and I just saw this at the top of the Linux subreddit today, and I've been catching up on the new season 2 of House of Cards. And if you were watching carefully, I think in the second or third episode, really quickly, not only do they have a conversation about bitcoins and Tor and the deep web, but when they're looking at some security footage, they pull up a computer and. Tell me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that almost looks like the Mate desktop right there.
I am going to say that is the Mate desktop.
And you see, they've actually spent some time on this image, too. Like, this looks like VLC.
Right.
But in the title bar right there, it says Secure Video Player. Over here on the corner, they have Video Vault, and it's got a little lock icon on the... and they got file system there. So it looks like somebody in production actually set up a Linux desktop and then just took a screenshot of it.
I think that's exactly what they did.
They might have shopped in the video image or something. I don't know. But doesn't that... It looks legit.
That definitely looks legit. I think that's great.
Yeah. They think the chat room thinks it could be XFCE, too. I'd take either one.
I'd say it could be. Yeah, no, it could be definitely. You know, it could even be like a House of Cards distro. Who knows? You know.
We have a huge live audience, 700 people alone in the chat room.
Wow.
That doesn't count the hundreds of people who are not even in the chat room today.
Wow.
Everybody's joining us for JB Live. Ed, you guys stay tuned to the feedback segment because we're going to be doing some giveaways just for folks watching live. In fact, it's going to be really fun. We're going to do a Linux trivia challenge. 10 hard Linux questions.
Nice.
And if you score high enough, then you will be qualified to win some free games. That's coming up later on in the show.
Ooh.
A little Linux trivia. We will test your Linux metal chat room and see where you stand. But before we get to all of that, Matt, I want to say a special... Actually, I wanted to play this, too, because it is a special moment. It's just... this is last 300, after all.
This is Sparta!
That's right. And to celebrate last 300, I want to say a big thank you to our longtime sponsor, GoDaddy.com. You guys know that GoDaddy's been making this show possible for years now, and they've busted out the new 295.com to help celebrate last 300. Use the promo code 295SHOW when you check out to get a .com for $2.95. $2.95. Shoot, son, if you're getting a .com for $2.95, do me a solid and get it for whatever. You need to forward to it. You need to forward to a long, complicated URL. Do it. You got some crazy G+ URL. Do it. You want to forward your jblive.am or .fm domain. Do it. Just seriously, take advantage of this promo code. It's crazy. $2.95 when you check out over at GoDaddy.com, the world's #1 domain name registrar. And now they're kicking it up a notch for businesses. Go make your small business a success by visiting GoDaddy, 295.com, get a .com, get a forwarder, get a vanity URL. I don't care. Just do it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you're saying do it.
I'm saying 295 show. And a big thank you to GoDaddy for sponsoring this week's episode of the Linux Action Show.
Woo.
Okay, Matt, it's time for our desktop picks. Now, I got two. I got two desktop picks.
Two.
Now, you're probably familiar with Gparted, right?
I spent a lot of time in there, actually.
But you know, the #1 problem for KDE fans out there is that G at the beginning of that.
That's too bad for those guys.
Yeah. So I want to introduce you to the KDE Partition Manager. Just like Gparted, perhaps even better. That's right, kids.
Huh?
Perhaps even just a little bit better. I'll bring it up right here. So I've got it installed on my Bonobes, and I'm a gnome. But you know what? I don't discriminate. I still enjoy.
Libraries are libraries.
Yeah, that's true, Matt. So it's going to scan the SSDs in my laptop right now, and you can see it's really nice layout.
Yeah, it's nice and pretty.
Yeah, like here's my home SSD with my swap and my home FS. I could do all the things you would expect to be able to do in Gparted. Like right here, let's say I want to just delete this space I leave available for the times I want to play a Windows game. I could just delete that or even shred it right then and there.
Nice.
Edit the mount point options. You get all this kind of stuff. I could say mount only is read only, things like that. Create new partitions, format partitions. It's really sort of Gparted even to the next level.
I would say it's got some features I'm not seeing on Gparted.
Yeah. Delete swap and delete the NTFS partition, the chat room says. I actually think that's a pretty good idea. It's
absolutely.
Good policy. Yeah.
Just when in doubt, delete it.
I don't know. See, I strategically partition ahead, though, and I always have a little space. So my pro tip, whenever you're installing Windows and Linux, install Windows first, then never touch it again, and then use Linux. In fact, I don't even know. I think I have like a Win 8 eval from when it was before it was released. And I'll tell you, though, it's handy because every now and then, I can just mount that drive. I go in there, I pull something out from Wine. Doesn't matter if Windows expired. I can still run the individual applications.
I've got like VMs of XP, 7, Vista, 8. I don't know.
So here you go. It's a KDE Partition Manager, and it's nice. Really great. And it lets you resize partitions, too, which is a great feature of Gparted.
Definitely.
So we'll have a link to that in the show notes.
Resizing is your friend when done carefully.
Now, this next one is for anybody who might be sitting at the command line and want to get a sense of what their connection is like. And it's called speedtest-cli, and it's from, I believe, I'm not positive about this, but I believe it's from the same folks who make speedtest.net.
Oh.
And it is a very straightforward, simple... I guess I could try it. I was a little worried about trying it during the live stream and breaking... because we're streaming to a whole bunch of people. But so it's just, I'll just try it right now. It's really quick. Speedtest-cli. It goes out. It determines your IP address. It says, okay, well, Chris, you're closest to Linwood, Washington. Then it runs out and does a test download. Now, I don't know how accurate this is since we're doing live streaming plus the family's going.
Well, it's using the same servers, I think, as Speedtest.
It does, yeah. It does. This is the Net River right there in Linwood, Washington. So download speed, 41 megabits. Now it's testing my upload speed. This would be the part that kills the live stream, I'm sure. And there, I got night. That's pretty good for doing a live stream. Yeah. So it's very simple. I threw it on my VPS just to kind of see what kind of. I got 100 megabits on my VPS. That was awesome. So speedtest.cli. You guys can just check it out and see what you think. It's right. It's available in the Arch user repository as well, and it's you don't have to have a user repository either. You can do a pip install. If you have Python, you'll have to have Python to run this. And check it out. And I have a link to that.
Pip test.
The show notes. All right, Matt. Well, now it is time for our weekly spotlight. Now, usually we try to feature like some sort of open source project or a desktop or distro or something like that. But Matt, today I got something really special. That's right. That's right, Matt. Let's take it off. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new Linux Action Show logo! That's right! Yeah, buddy! Check it out! So check it out, everybody. You might not even know this, but the Linux Action Show has not had a logo for 300 episodes. It is the biggest shame of the Linux Action Show, and we have just rectified this shame right here on the Linux Action Show. Brand new logo!
Right there, kids.
That's right. But we're not stopping there. No, we can't stop there. We can't stop there, Matt. That would be ridiculous. We're releasing this to you, too, and this will help fund the renovations to our new studio. Go over to teespring.com/last300 to get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt. We have them in multiple colors. And for a limited time, every Linux Action Show shirt will also ship with a limited last challenge coin. Every shirt will include a challenge coin. I'm going to be honest with you. The reason we got our logo in a circle was just for the challenge coin. This is going to be so much fun, and you can bring these to Linux Fest Northwest and other events when you meet up with folks to represent the Linux Action Show. You can, drop the coin right there on the table and be like, Bob's your uncle, I'm a Linux Action Show fan. And all you got to do is either grab a hoodie or a t-shirt. You can go to teespring.com/last300, grab your shirt, and or grab your hoodie, and the challenge coin will be included. Now, we have an unlock goal of 754 shirts. We've done the math, and if we reach 754, that'll pay for a good deal of the renovations we need to do in the new studio. And this would be a great way to get yourself a little swag, celebrate our new logo, which is awesome.
Yes.
We've spent a lot of time.
It's fantastic. I mean, I got to see it early, and I'll tell you, I was stoked. I was stoked.
And the circle and the logo make a perfect coin. It is so awesome. And we'll be doing this for about 3 weeks. So you have 3 weeks to go over to teespring.com/last300 to get the limited edition Linux Action Show 300 t-shirt. Grab the new logo. You're going to see this popping up on RSS feeds. A lot of people emailing like, Chris, the RSS feed in iTunes is missing the badge. I'm like, I know. I got a new logo. I don't want to put it out there yet, though, because it's a surprise. So I haven't put it anywhere yet. You're going to see it start rolling out over the next couple of weeks. And by buying one of these, you'll support the development of the new studio. You get the limited time challenge coin and the limited time hoodie. And if you're going to come to Linux Fest Northwest, there's no better outfit to wear.
This is how we know that you're with us.
That's right. Check it out, too. Like, how awesome is this? How awesome is this logo?
I mean, you got Tux, you got the Jupiter Broadcasting rocket ship, you got it all, you know. And it's got a really great design to it. It really does. It's
one coin per shirt. So if you get 2 shirts, you get 2 coins, which is why I'm going to get 2 shirts.
And these are quality sweatshirts. I mean, like I was really
so I
impressed.
wanted to say something about that. You know, every time we've done a shirt, we've learned from it. We've gotten the quality up higher. And we've also been able to build a relationship with Teespring. So they're doing things like helping us with the challenge coin. They're going to we're throwing in a few extra things. We got a super high quality shirt material, and these, by the way, Matt, these are just the test runs. These are not even, and these are already really nice.
Oh wow!
And these are not even the final versions. The final versions are the highest quality shirt we could get, the best quality printing we could get, and that challenge coin. Every single coin is being made. It's a limited edition coin. And they're going to handle the fulfillment for all of it. It's going to be really awesome. And the funds for that will go right into renovating the new studio, which we are beginning at the end of this month.
That's so cool.
The end of February, that work begins. And you can go get yourself a limited shirt. It'll be available for 3 weeks. And you can go to teespring.com/last300.
3 options, right? You got the hoodie, the T-shirt, and then there's a third option, I believe.
Not yet, but we're thinking about it. We're going to wait on demand. There's color options.
There are color options. So basically, I mean, you can do hoodie, you can do a T-shirt. There's something for everybody.
I'm really loving this new logo.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
I got to say, I don't know how we got by this far without a logo.
Right? Yeah, it kind of skated by there a little bit, but this is great.
I mean, we've done we've had different iterations of the words Linux Action Show in different ways.
Sure.
But it's
I remember some of the older ones.
Yeah, it's always been this spot, and all the other shows have logos, all the other shows. But Last started at a time before we thought of these kinds of things and didn't think of even, it was started before we did video, and these visual things were not really a high priority. So it has been so fun behind the scenes for us to work on this and know that, we're about to introduce this to you guys and show it to you. And so check it out. Go to teespring.com/last300. These are going to be available for only 3 weeks. And then after that, all gone.
3 weeks and they're gone.
All gone.
Okay. Good to know, guys. Good to know.
And tell us what you think of the logo. I'm so happy.
I'm really impressed. I'm going to show this off to my wife when I get home.
So there's surprise number 1 down.
Yes. Bam!
You know what, Matt? Let's do the news.
Ooh. Hey, it's the news, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting.com. Matt, Ting is mobile that makes sense. My mobile service provider and our Matt's mobile service provider too.
Bam.
Right there, Matt's rocking the Note 2 in a really nice, stylish leather case.
Isn't that great?
Is that leather? Is it
I don't know what the
magnetic?
hell it is.
It's definitely leather.
It's magnetic. Yeah,
it's definitely leather.
You can even go bam like that.
Oh, and it holds it behind too.
Yep. It's like the total phablet experience.
That is so great.
It's great.
That is so great. So let me tell you about Ting and why you might want to switch to Ting. Ting has no contracts, no early termination, and by the way, you only pay for what you use. 98% of people would save money with Ting, and 100% of businesses with more than 10 folks would save money from Ting. That's actually not just Ting saying that. That's 2 separate companies who've independently reviewed that and confirmed that. Ting takes your minutes, your messages, and your megabytes, and they add them up at the end of the month. So whatever bucket you fall into, son, that's all you pay. Shoot. You go over there, you can see it. They got it all listed out on their rates page. Also, every plan includes voicemail, picture, and video messaging, 3-way calling, caller ID, tethering, and hotspot, all included. My average Ting bill's $33 a month for 2 lines. I got 2 phones. The way it works, each phone is a flat $6 plus taxes. And then you just pay for your usage on top of that. If you turn on hotspot and you have a Wi-Fi hotspot, you just pay for the data usage. You don't have to have a special plan. You don't have to be in some sort of category of device. You just turn it on. If it's built into the operating system, you can use it. Kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Just like everything at Ting makes sense. Check out their blog. They have a very active blog where they're picking some good apps of the week. They talk about some behind-the-scenes info. They even have a recent post about devices that are coming up on the Ting network. And this is a great example of why Ting is so awesome. Here's a post about the Nexus 5. Starting today, Ting is now selling a Nexus 5. But please, for the dear, sweet love of Google, don't buy it from us. Instead, just get a $10 Ting SIM card and go buy yourself a Nexus 5 in red, black, or white from the Google Play Store, and you'll save $95 right off the bat.
Wow.
That's how.
I mean, how crazy is that?
Cell phone company.
They're going to be like, "Hey guys, don't whatever you do, don't give us money. Go save yourself some cash here, and we'll hook you up." I mean, that's awesome, right?
Yeah, I know Mail Hauler in our chat room. His whole family switched over to Ting, and they've been saving money since every day. I have to tell you too, it might be time to go check out their savings calculator because they just slashed their data rates. They're cheaper than ever, and the value is just absolutely insane. Go plug in your current bill information and see what I've been talking about, son. And by the way, if you're stuck in a contract, Ting can help you out there too. They have an early termination relief program. More information on that over at ting.com/ETF. They'll pay up to 25% of your ETF, up to $75 per device. Now think about that. If your Ting bill is like $30 a month, and you get $75 of credit, well, that's going to get you going right away. But if you visit last.ting.com, they'll give you $25 off your first device. If you already have a Sprint-compatible device, they'll give you $25 off your first month. That actually ended up paying for my first month of Ting. So
well, hey.
That's a pretty awesome deal. So go over to last.ting.com to get started. Browse around their site, check out their rates page, check out their devices. They've got great brand new devices, which you own outright, by the way. They've got used devices, including some refurbished feature phones. Look at this. When you go to last.ting.com, you can get a Sanyo 3810 Black with an OLED clock on the front. You're going to get a couple of days of battery life. It's a feature phone. It's got a physical dial pad. $52. No contract, no early termination. You only pay for what you use. If you don't need something like the Nexus 5, they also have options for people who just want a phone.
That's right.
Make some calls.
Maybe you want a backup phone to just keep in a drawer that doesn't have. You don't have to worry about whether it's what's going on with it. You just know it's there if in a pinch.
And actually, this Sanyo also has some GPS in it too, so it's got some features of some.
Throw it in your car for emergencies. I mean, it really provides a lot of options.
I've got the red one too.
Ooh, really? That's actually not a bad looking phone. I kind of like that polish too. It's got like a shine.
Yeah. So all kinds of great stuff. They also have a Ting Personal Concierge Shopper. If they don't have a used device, but you know there's a device out there you want, you can hit that and then tell them what you're looking for, and they will go out and search for a compatible device for you and make the process even easier.
Nice.
So here's how you get started. Go to last.ting.com. That tells them you heard about it right here on the Linux Action Show, and you appreciate them supporting the Linux Action Show and Jupiter Broadcasting, keeping us on the air, keeping us going, and having such awesome deals. So go over to last.ting.com, and a big thank you to Ting for sponsoring the Linux Action Show.
Definitely. Awesome.
I know everybody in the chat room is all giddy to talk about Ubuntu's big change up this week, but I think it's better if we start with sort of the background to that. And we actually didn't cover it on this show. We talked about it extensively on Linux Unplugged, but Debian has decided on Systemd for now. This has been going around and around. We've covered it extensively on Linux Unplugged if you want all of the nitty-gritty details. The vote came down to, pretty much as expected, a 4-4 split between Systemd and Upstart, and then B. Dale casted his tie-breaking vote, and the votes were in for Systemd. That makes Systemd the default init for the Jessie release of Debian, so that's when we're going to be seeing this. And this is, in my opinion, huge, because Debian is such a large upstream distribution. Debian making the switch to Systemd is sort of, to me, it was the signal that this is now the default init for Linux going forward. You've got Red Hat, you've got Debian, you've got Arch, you've got SUSE, all
it's across
on
the board.
Systemd.
Yeah, I mean, it's where everything's going to pretty much be at.
So that left one major distribution in the lurch, not on Systemd, but still on a pretty good init system, and of course, I'm talking about Ubuntu. Well, shortly after, let's see, this was actually on Friday. Yeah. Friday of this week, Mark Shuttleworth took to his blog with a really great post, and he titled it Losing Graciously. He starts with B. Dale's casting vote this week. The Debian Technical Committee has finally settled on the question of its init for both Debian and Ubuntu in favor of Systemd. Upstart has served the Ubuntu community extremely well. He says he'd like to thank the committee for their thoughtful debate under the pressure of the fishbowl. He said it set a high bar for analysis and experience-driven discussion. I agree with that. He says, Upstart did serve Ubuntu very well. It gave us a great competitive advantage at a time when things became very dynamic in the kernel. It's been very stable, and it's been used both in Ubuntu and Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and of course, as we know, Chrome OS as well. And it set a high standard for canonical-led software, which I am proud of. Nevertheless, the decision is for systemd, and given that Ubuntu is quite centrally a member of the Debian family, that's a decision we support. I will ask the members of the Ubuntu community to help implement this decision efficiently, bringing systemd into both Debian and Ubuntu safely and expeditiously. It will no doubt take time to achieve stability and converge what we enjoy today. And it sounds like 1404 will continue to ship with Upstart as we kind of expected.
Yeah, and that makes sense at this point, at this
Absolutely.
juncture. Sure.
And just like Red Hat Enterprise 6 will continue to be used for years with Upstart. But I will ask, he goes on, I will ask the Ubuntu Tech Board, many of whom do not work for Canonical, to review the position and map out an appropriate transition plan. He goes on to say, init is contentious. And this is something we've noticed, like, boy, this has been a heated debate.
Yeah, boy.
And Mark really kind of put it into frame here, I thought. He says, init is contentious because it's required for both developers and system administrators to understand its quirks and capabilities. No wonder this was a difficult debate. The consequences for hundreds of thousands of people are very high. From my perspective, the fact is that if good people were clearly split, it suggests that either option would work perfectly well. I trust the new stewards of PID 1 will take that responsibility as seriously as the Upstart team has done and be pleasant to work with and onward.
Good deal. Man,
Awesome
well put. Really
awesome
well
post.
put.
I think a lot of people didn't respond as graciously.
No.
I saw a lot of people
I saw
like,
some just... Yes,
that kind of
there was
stuff.
some Nelson from The Simpsons going on.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I actually was not surprised by this. Not even really actually at all. Because it's ruthlessly pragmatic of Mark to do this. Anytime, I know this is going to be funny with the shadow of Mir, but anytime you can minimize differences at that level of the Linux operating system, you're reducing cost for Canonical. Yeah. Because anything that differs from the norm is something they have to maintain on their own.
That's right.
Also, I think the undertone here, even though Mark didn't address it, is Upstart has been neglected in a sense. There's features that Upstart, or bugs that Upstart, or deficiencies that Upstart has that have not been addressed. The guy who originally created Upstart, Scott James Rement, is no longer involved with the project. He did, however, take to G+ to comment because Upstart's his baby.
That's right.
And he went ahead and posted, he said, I'm happy to see that Debian has reached a decision about its default init system and that the Ubuntu team have been gracious about it and opted to support their downstream. What will probably surprise most people is that I think it was the right decision. Now, remember, this is the guy that created Upstart.
That's a real key piece to really let soak in for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's actually been pretty gracious about this. At least people, I don't know about the audience.
Well, I think you're always going to have some detractors. You're going to always have some folks that maybe want to go a different direction with it. But for the most part, I think people have been pretty, I think they're just happy it's over. I think more than anything. Yeah,
he says, I think it's the right decision. systemd has the momentum out of the two projects and has both the technical and community leadership advantages. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Friendly competition. This is so beautiful. Friendly competition is a brilliant development model until there is a clear winner, at which point friendly collaboration tends to work out better. So competition is good until we have a winner, and then we should transition, he's saying, to friendly collaboration. He says it is time for that transition. I hadn't posted anything to this effect until now because I didn't want my position to influence Debian's position. That would have been fair on the current Upstart. That wouldn't have been fair on the current Upstart maintainers, and he lists them here, who've been doing an absolutely fantastic job continuing the project I started. So now we're going to see, of course, we're going to see Ubuntu make the transition. I assume we're going to see Chrome OS make the transition.
I would think so, unless Google wants to take that on, which I doubt.
So we've just watched a massive, cohesive, like a congealing of the Linux core. All of these distributions are going to be essentially operating the same way using the same software at that low level. And a lot of stuff is going to be built on top of that. A lot of stuff already is going to be built, already has been. And a lot of good features are in there. There's some real FUD going around the web right now about systemd that is completely, and there's a new article that just went around this last couple of days. It is technically inaccurate. It is filled with flaws. The author has very, very little understanding of systemd. Didn't stop him from writing up a big post and it going all over the web.
Right.
So, it's not like everything's all final and done. But when we were doing Linux Unplugged this last Tuesday, we were really cautious about how we titled the episode because we thought, gosh, it wouldn't be that surprising if Ubuntu rolled back on this decision.
Well, it's not like one of those things to where, and I forget exactly what show it was, but I think it was election results where they like film ahead of time, like the possible scenarios. Yeah. And we couldn't really do that, so you know.
And I think though now with Mark and Ubuntu coming out, I think everything's clearly falling down on the side of Systemd. Now, what do you think about this whole? And we watched Debian debate this for months and months, and it got really heated and nasty, and we covered that in Linux Unplugged. Then Mark comes out and is like, "Okay, all right, Ubuntu, you're doing this. Discussion over." Just boom.
I honestly almost wonder why that wasn't done in the first place, and not for any other reason short of just what's the point. I never really understood what the value of why would you want to take on more work that's not, I mean, the mirror thing, I kind of get the rationale to a degree, kind of. But with Upstart, I never really understood what problem was it solving that Systemd did not provide.
Well, Upstart, see,
that's
true now, and I think that's what's so gracious about them making the switch.
Right.
It was not the case when they created Upstart.
No, I realized at the beginning, but I'm talking about like in the last couple of months at very minimum. Yeah. I mean, here toward the end, it was kind of like it's kind of obvious. I would think so.
Yeah.
And that's not. I'm not faulting anyone for that. I'm just saying I would think that it would just be selfishly in their best interest because then they can take those resources and focus them on Mirror or whatever else they want to focus on.
And I don't believe that it was quite as clear-cut as Mark just coming on high and saying this is what we're doing. No, I suspect there's been a lot of internal discussion as they've been watching this.
Of course.
And would this announcement have been made had Debian chose Upstart? No. Right? Upstart would still be the init for Ubuntu for a while forward. But I'm excited. We still have this whole Mirror thing, but I'm excited to see where the next generation of Ubuntu, maybe a year or two from now, where it's running on top of Systemd, it's got a full Qt powered interface. I mean, this really could be something to look and really a competitive. This could be a competitive distro in a couple of years, and I'm really glad to see that at least a very important part of the distro will not be stagnating, will not be different than everybody else, will not be on its own island.
Absolutely agreed. And I think looking back on it more with the whole Upstart Systemd thing, I think a lot of it did it not feel like they were maybe waiting for Debian to figure it out?
I think that's
it's like not to point out the obvious, but it just kind of feels like it's like they couldn't outwardly say that because it just seemed cheesy. But
the other thing that it made me wonder about too is there was been some accusations that Canonical was influencing the Debian init discussion. That may still be the case because it would have been better for them perhaps if they gone Upstart. But with their willingness to switch over to Systemd fairly, without any resistance, it makes me think that they might not have had a dog in that hunt. Maybe they weren't pushing it.
If they were willing to switch over that quickly, then, boy, I think it really just came down to a Debian situation to where they really just needed to say, look, we don't really – maybe it's very probable and possible in the last 2 months they didn't really care. They just needed Debian to figure it out so they could follow suit. That's possible. Yeah. I don't know.
One point to note is, from what I can gather, Upstart will remain the init on the phone for a while because the phone is using a whole bunch of features in Upstart.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know what the plan is to address that. So I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm 90% sure that this switch is going to affect desktop and servers.
Okay.
And by the way, let's not forget that the real moneymaker for Ubuntu, is cloud. It's Amazon EC2 deployments. It's DigitalOcean droplets. It's it's all of these different places that run Ubuntu, and in those circumstances, Systemd is the better init.
It is.
Socket activation is just one of the many things that I talk about all the time. And when you look at it from the lens of where they're actually making money with the Ubuntu product right now, you could see the justification for going to Systemd.
Absolutely. Well, they're an enterprise shop. At the end of the day, they do the nicey with the whole desktop thing. That's cute. But at the end of the day, they're making their bank with the
the support contracts.
Sure.
And the whatnot. I agree.
Home users, there's not much money there.
Right. And when you look at it in that context, the switch to Systemd not only makes a lot of sense, but it kind of gives reassurance to people who have Ubuntu deployed who wanted some of those features. I was just saying on the pre-show that for years and years, I was always deploying Gentoo on servers, and then that got crazy as I started to get more clients, and I, didn't have enough time in the day.
Sure.
And I switched over to Ubuntu and Debian, and if I was still deploying Ubuntu and Debian today for clients, I'd be watching the Systemd discussion, thinking, I'm going to go with whichever one is going with Systemd, and for me, that would mean I might continue to deploy Ubuntu long-term support at these clients now, knowing that in the future there's going to be a migration path to systemd for them.
True.
So I think it's a good competitive thing for Ubuntu as well.
Very true.
Now, let's talk about something that hasn't been doing that well competitively. You remember Red Flag Linux?
Oh, yeah. China's little distro of love.
Yeah.
Yep.
So not going good, Matt. Red Flag has terminated all of its staff contracts and gone into liquidation. That's according to a notice pinned on the door of its of its deserted headquarters in Beijing. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's boy.
Apparently, staff have turned their attention now to Red Flag's major shareholder, the Institute of Software at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, to recoup unpaid wages, which now almost total 15 million yen.
Yep.
In March of last year, however, we recall Ubuntu announced that it was going to be working with the China National University of Defense Technology and the China Software and Integrated Chip Promotion Center to develop a China flavor of Ubuntu that'll have their key sets and obviously translations.
Right.
They're calling it an enhanced version of the Ubuntu desktop with Chinese characteristics. You know who the big competitor was for Red Flag Linux?
Who's that?
Windows XP.
Really?
Yeah, Windows XP.
You would think they would want something that is not, let's just say, influenced by the U.S. government. If I was China, devil's advocate here, I would think that's something I'd want to avoid. But then again, maybe it was just easier for them.
I'm hoping, so they're still working on this Chinese enhanced version of the Ubuntu desktop. So that's supposed to be what they're going to transition to. But Red Flag, so this is that Ubuntu version is supposed to replace XP, but Red Flag was never able to do it. And I believe Red Flag was based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
I think it was RPM at the very least, RPM based at the very least.
Yeah.
And what was that other new-ish Chinese distro that was? No, that one. Wait a minute, that was North Korea that came out with the OS 10 lookalike. Yep, I got that mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay. They could always maybe borrow some of that.
The register says that China's love affair with Windows XP, the government even tried to persuade Microsoft to continue to support the legacy OS past April 8th deadline because they love it so much and claim that Windows 8 was too expensive and will only lead to greater instances of piracy.
Well, and here's the twist to that whole thing, too, is the fact that, like it or not, out of the, China is, at least from a technology standpoint, is definitely becoming kind of a booming market.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is it's in growth mode where we're in oh crap mode. So from Microsoft's standpoint, the fact that they didn't try to find a way, even if it was just keeping it patched, I think it would have been financially residual money in their pocket. It would have been probably cost-effective for them to at least explore that. So the fact that they didn't really reflects the level of stupid happening at that company right now.
I think the problem is
they need a little something going on.
I think the problem is Microsoft has identified their number one competitor, and their number one competitor is older versions of Windows.
Right, but they got it. But again, you can't change human behavior. You can encourage it, but they have to accept some level. It's like I want the world to use Linux, but I also have to live in a reality that may not happen.
Right.
So same thing with them. I think at some level, even if it's just country specific, they really do need to examine that.
So what was it, chat room? Was it Kyle Linux? I can't remember what they're calling the Ubuntu Chinese version, but I think it started with a K.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So let's talk about Firefox bringing in ads. You know what? I just switched back to Firefox. I just switched back. Yeah, this is this. I mean, okay.
But we're taking it on the surface. We got to dive deeper here.
Right. Firefox has announced in a blog post it is considering selling ads for its new tab page. Publishers will be able to purchase sponsored tiles that will appear alongside normal tiles with clear promoted labels. So they'll be clearly delineated. Right. At first, Mozilla just wants to pre-populate the new tab page. So like for me, when I do a new tab, I use speed dial and I have these pre-populated tabs here. So what?
Similar to what Opera users might enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And so this will be on normal Firefox installations. It's completely blank until you have about 30 days of browsing history. And so what Firefox is going to do is pre-populate them with popular sites that they get paid for to put in there. That's not so bad. So they go on to say that this, of course, is in the shadow of almost 90%. I think it's more closely to 87% of Mozilla's yearly revenue comes from their search deal with Google.
That's right.
And I think Google has been signaling to them that, hey, we're going to be ending this
Yeah.
We have our own browser now, and it's more popular than your browser, so we don't need you.
And you know what's cool is that Google, you know, unlike with regular folks that use Google for revenue, rather than giving you an email saying "screw you," they're actually giving these guys a signal. So that's kind of a bonus for them.
That is nice of Google, and in fact, I think they've kind of signaled November 2014 is when they're going to. I think that's when the deal's renewed, and they're not going to renew.
So you have a vacuum that needs to then be filled, so that with revenue, how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to tell you. There's been a lot of mixed reaction to this. So they have said they'll be using geolocation, but that's not that creepy. They're just going to, whatever IP address range you're coming from, they're going to match that up with local stuff. It's not like they're sniffing your traffic and figuring out what you like.
No.
They say they won't be doing targeting like that. They're not going to be analyzing that kind of stuff. People are also throwing it in their face, being like, well, you guys were the do not track it bastards that screwed the ad industry.
And once again, botched PR, you know, because I've been through this with another company a few years ago to where they make a change and then they react to the press afterward. All Mozilla has to do, and they can still do it if they get off their cans and do it now, is have an actual talk showing the front end of what's happening. Here's an example ad. Here's how geolocation works.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on at the command line. Here's actually what the data is going back and forth. That is going to quell a lot of problems, because here's something most people don't know. It doesn't track the user. Not like another big company out there that has ads. They're not tracking users. So based on that, based on the non-invasiveness of it and whatnot, that doesn't mean it's awesome or that it's something I necessarily want.
Yeah.
But I think they need to have the conversation in a more straightforward manner.
So yeah, I'm really kind of having a hard time having a problem with this, because first of all, I don't use the default tabs page. Second of all, it seems pretty like almost kind of obvious that they should be pre-populating those tabs. I've always thought it was weird that those blocks were empty. It sounds like, they're thinking about maybe just doing the lower three. I've always wondered, like, why don't they do more with this? I feel like every other company out there would do more with this. And, you have applications being made for Firefox OS. Maybe you could integrate that. It's like, maybe they could make...
But they need something more passive. So the problem with applications is they may be dependent on use, or that for someone to actually want to integrate an application, they may want to see results from this. If it's central to them exclusively, it's more of a passive situation for them, so it provides them with more opportunity from that standpoint.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have to be forced to crack down on extensions that cut it out.
Not necessarily, because Google never really did.
What's the moral line there? Like, shouldn't... Firefox needs to financially exist. Mozilla needs to make money to continue to make Firefox. And, they're getting to Firefox OS, which is a competitor to Android, so it's not that surprising that they're going to have a little bit of a tougher relationship with Google going forward. Well, they got to do something. Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, from the moral standpoint, it comes down to this. It's like, as long as they are, for one, and I have a better conversation with it, for the love of Pete, guys. Come on. But whatever. As long as it's non-intrusive and it is truly just in a speed dial situation to where it's easily ignored, removed, whatever, problem solved, because the majority of people won't bother, and that'll still earn them revenue. Ad blockers can still block it. As long as these things still happen, even if they don't have the proper conversation that they should be having, I think it'll be fine. It's going to be heated at the beginning, just like everything ever always is, Unity, whatnot, with other stuff. But, I don't know. We'll see. At this point, ad blocker won't block it. Will it in the future? We don't know.
I'm looking at it, they don't have a timeline yet. They're still considering a lot of things based on the feedback. They talk a little bit in here about the geolocation. So I've got a few links, you guys, including folks from the Mozilla Foundation who are trying to respond to some of the feedback. So if you are a serious Firefox user and you really want to understand what they're talking about here, check out the show notes. I've got links to 3 articles about it. It honestly does not... I know at first...
It sounded terrible.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds terrible because they say ads, not the fact that it's sponsored placement.
Right.
It depends on implementation.
It sounds very minimal to me.
Yeah.
It could be the first wedge in the door, and now the door's cracked open, and now flash forward 5 years, and we've got video animations in the new tabs. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to get crazy like that. And honestly, I feel like the Mozilla Foundation has earned our trust a little bit on this too, and to let. They've earned the right to let us sit back and see where they go.
But the reason why people are reacting the way they are is because of the fact that they're already reacting to bad press. Rather than coming out and saying, here's exactly what it looks like, here's exactly how it's going to work on the back end, it open across the board. That's all they got to do. That's all they got to do. But instead, they're going to wait till this becomes a big stink, and it's going to get worse. That's what's
they're trying now. I've been watching their official blog. I've been watching.
I'm personally not worried about it. I don't care. I'll use Mozilla. I'm not, or Firefox. I know what it is. I'm not worried about it. But whatever.
Mitchell Baker is the chair of the Mozilla Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting openness, innovation, and the opportunity on the internet. And he took to his blog and has a really great write-up on it.
He actually did. It was actually I actually learned more from it than I did anything official.
Yeah.
Which is a problem, you know.
I think now, see, the problem that we see here is none of these companies respond as fast as the bad news travels.
And again, I honestly, there needs to be like a PR firm that addresses damage control. There really should be. But
yeah, there needs to be like a general open source PR firm.
Because when you're getting ready to change anything, I'm going to give everyone out there that runs a company a pro tip, okay? If you're getting ready to change anything that has a user base, I don't care how stupid or minimal it is, have the conversation before you change it. That's all you got to do, because you will be amazed at how the reception is different.
I'm pleased that it is a she.
Yeah.
See, I saw the blog,
awesome.
and I saw that, and I thought, this is a ladies' blog. And then I didn't want to be sexist, so I call it a he, but it is a she, the chat room says.
That works.
Good, yeah. So, I don't know, you guys, let us know what you think about the ads. Leave a comment wherever you're watching this, or send us an email, linuxactionshow@jupiterbroadcasting.com.
Yep.
Are you upset by the Firefox decision, or do you think it's going to be okay?
I'm more upset by the fact that they boned it. I mean, the sponsored dials, I don't care.
And I bet
too.
I bet before it came out, they're like, God, how are we going to handle this? And the execution just... That's how it always works.
It's so. I'm going to start doing PSAs for people. I swear to God.
A little more, PSA.
Jeez. Anyway, because it's so not even a big deal, but whatever, you know.
Well, it became one. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Matt, that's all the news for this week. We got a few more things up our sleeve to celebrate last 300, and I think you're going to be pretty excited. But before we get to that, I want to say thank you to our segment sponsor, System 76, creators of machines born to run Linux. Why would you want to buy a System 76 computer? I'll tell you, they've got some awesome hardware like the Gazelle Professional, which I covet extreme. Also, the Kudu Professional has been making a lot of rounds in our community. People are loving it for that large screen, that great keyboard, and that nice design. I've been hearing from a lot of folks who picked up a Kudu Professional, and that's awesome. We just did the Faux Show Sticker Awards, Angela and I did, and tons of people had a System 76 in the picture. They've got laptops, desktop servers, you name it.
Love it. Some
really great rigs. So go over to system76.com. Go support somebody who's giving back to the Linux ecosystem, somebody who's helping move the Linux desktop forward, and stop fighting with your hardware.
Yes.
Drives me crazy when I hear from you guys that buy machines that don't run Linux that well. Get a machine designed to run Linux. They have custom firmwares on this thing. They make sure every piece will work for years.
That's right.
Matt and I have been System 76 customers for years and years and years, and I'll tell you, there's a really... actually, it's funny, sitting here at last 300, looking back at it, if, even like 2-3 years ago, if you would have told me System 76 was going to be sponsoring a segment on our show.
Who'd have thought that?
Never. I'm a big System 76 fan, and I'm always excited. Every week that I get to talk about them, it's a treat for me. So
I've been a customer since 2008. I mean, just put it in perspective, it's like...
and I've been thrilled. So go over to system76.com, check out their machines, get yourself something nice, and tell them the Linux Action Show sent you. Now, Matt, let's see. We have a few things we still need to announce for episode 300.
Cool.
This first one I want to start with, it's big.
Huge.
It's really, really big. And, I felt like to really give it its full due, to really give it some thought, we needed to get out. We needed to stretch our minds and our bodies so that way we had clarity of thought. And so the only way to do that was to get out of the studio and record something for you guys. So here it is. This is something we've been working on, and every now and then, I also recommend if you ever just need to think about something, just get out there and have a little fun.
A little fresh air.
Hey, man, I think that's Chase. Hey, Chase!
Hey guys, we got a problem. We got a lot of Linux users and they need our help.
What's going on, Chase?
We got some problems.
What is it?
As you can see here, I've been compiling questions and problems.
It looks like there's
from
hundreds,
Linux users.
maybe thousands.
You guys have been doing the Linux Action Show for a while now.
Yeah.
A lot of people have written in, and I've been compiling all the issues.
No wonder we have so many.
I mean, anywhere from setting up new servers, to setting up a media box, to
routers,
VPNs,
lamp stack, phone cloud,
home security.
Wow.
Well, and you've got people with existing boxes looking to get more out of it without having to invest in something brand new.
Those XP switchers.
And the other thing too is, I'm trying to learn Linux. I'm trying to learn these new skills to help me be more hireable out there in the workforce.
Yeah. Oh, I got an idea.
What?
It's time for a new show.
so you know, this is something we've needed to do for a while now.
We've toyed around with it for some time.
We submitted, we had a forum, we asked you guys what you wanted to see, what how-tos you wanted, and it became so apparent that it was so much content out there that we needed to launch a whole new show. And just like Linux Unplugged, it's not going to detract from the Linux Action Show. It's going to add value to the Linux Action Show. It's something that's going to be complementary. It'll work in tandem. And, you know, in just the last week we had on the creator of Yassi. And he was a great guy, and we talked about Yassi, we demoed Yassi, but we didn't actually show you how to set it up, how to use it, how to secure it, all of that kind of stuff. So that's a perfect example of how we could have a show that ties in with the big show and shows you, well, you know that thing we just talked about and just showed you?
Yeah. Here's how you actually implement it in your life.
Yeah, and here's how you do it securely. And by the way, here's all the notes so you can go set it up yourself. We've got a lot of stuff in the works. It's going to be a weekly show. It has an exciting new model that we're going to talk about more in the future.
Yes.
We're targeting for a March launch sometime in March. Yes. And it's going to be the three of us working on a show. We'll come in. Each one of us will come in with different things for a week and talk about it. Some stuff will be multi-episode arcs, and then we'll release an assembled video at the end where you can watch all of it in one go, or you can follow along. And the idea here, too, is to make Linux how-tos more discoverable in the video form, because right now the big problem with the big show is that it's a big show.
Yeah, you've got to try and find that one slot. Where
and so people find it on YouTube and they're like, well, this said it was about installing a firewall, and I just watched an hour and a half, and I only saw 15 minutes. I don't understand. So it's a big discoverability problem, and what we want to do is we want to create a new generation of Linux how-tos, something in a living format, something that people can go find, catch it. It's exactly what they wanted to see. They can get right to work and go deploy whatever it was they wanted to, whatever problem they wanted to solve, and that's what we want to do with Linux How-To Linux will be the name.
How-To Linux. And I think we're going to really concentrate on providing things that you guys are interested in, whatever level that may be. You know, advanced, intermediate, beginner. We're going to try and cover everything.
And this is going to be ramped up more, too, as the new studio comes online. We'll be doing more physical builds and things like that. I've got a little spot in the new studio that I want to create, the How-To Linux Den that we'll be able to work on projects, have some overhead cameras and things like that. So I don't have a lot of details to share yet because we're still working on it, but there is one big, really important piece, and that's why we're announcing it right here in Linux Action Show 300, is I got to say, you know, the BSD Now show launched, and it's been a great show. And one of the things that they've done right from the very beginning is they've worked with a producer, Blackheim, or TJ in the chat room. He's Blackheim in the chat room. He produces a lot of the content for that show, and that is a key piece to doing something that we can reproduce on a weekly basis, on an ongoing basis, with a high bar of quality. And so we have a form in the show notes. If you would like to work with us as the How-To Linux producer to help us create content for what we're going to cover, we've got a whole bunch of ideas. So it's going to be a back-and-forth collaborative process. The position will be creating some of these how-tos, creating sort of the sequence we'll go through things. And if you've got experience with this kind of thing, or if you don't, but you've worked in how-tos in the past, something like that, there's a form. It's embedded in the show notes. I'll also have a link. In fact, I'll put a link in the chat room right now.
Throw that up there for everybody so that you guys can kind of go through that.
I would love, this is going to be a key piece. We want to work with somebody who can take on some of that role, so that way it's something that we don't start falling behind on. Because I've done the in-depth look before, and the problem with the in-depth look is these how-to shows are an amazing amount of work, an incredible amount of work. And by the way, eventually, maybe not, I hope initially, but eventually that producer position will be a paid position. I don't think it's a full-time wage, but it will make money. It's not going to be something...
That's the goal.
Yeah, it's not just something we want you to do for free forever. As the show becomes successful and gets sponsorships and some of the other things we have in works to help guarantee an income, that role will be a paid position. If you're in Washington, I'd really like to talk to you because in person would be amazing for collaboration. But if you're available, you know, you've got Skype and things like that, we'll work with you. And I'm really excited. So this is going to be one of those things where... Perfect. I think that Yassi interview is a perfect example, because you could watch the whole Yassi interview, get an idea of what Yassi is, you know, hear from the founder of Yassi, and then at that end of that episode, you decided, crap, that looked awesome, but I'm not really sure how to get Apache started. I'm not really sure how to secure that. I'm not sure how to get it so I can search from anywhere I go, like from my mobile device, but then have my house be secure. All those kinds of questions came up after we did that interview.
Well, and you find yourself saying, okay, so I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to scour from that page and this page and that wiki, and oh, that's not quite right, or that was updated or changed. By having a video walkthrough that basically helps put these things through the process, we're going to actually help you duplicate what we were talking about.
Yep. And so we're planning to just sort of continue what we've been doing better and better as we've gotten better at doing Linux Action Show. We've been better at Linux Unplugged. All of these shows will sort of support each other. And if you love all of them and you want to watch all of them, then you're going to get something out of that. But each show also will stand on its own. And I think it's going to make each show stronger as well. So one way you can, as we're kind of developing our plans, because it is all kind of in flux still, is I have a Twitter account, and you can follow that to get official updates. It's twitter.com/howtolinux.
Oh, nice.
Put a link to that in the chat room. And just go over to twitter.com/howtolinux. It's empty right now because I didn't want to post anything there to give anything away until we announced it. But we'll be posting updates on the status of the show and schedules and things like that, and all kinds of goodies over on that Twitter account at HowToLinux on Twitter. Woo! So I'm really excited about this kind of new show because I think there is a huge need in the Linux space for this kind of visual thing that's presented quickly with high quality and accuracy, and also I'm really looking forward to kind of figuring out what you guys want to hear. We've got a whole bunch of submissions. We've got a big stack of them. We're going to go through all that. We're going to pick out some of the best ones. But as the show goes on, I want to expand it into the realm of hardware in Linux. I want to expand it into network security, infrastructure. And I think initially, one of the concepts we'll be playing with is Chase will be joining us on that show. And he's been administering Windows networks for years. So Chase will play the role of a brand new Linux switcher, looking at all of this with fresh eyes, a fresh perspective, asking those beginner questions. Hey, I just downloaded this program off of the internet and it won't run. Well, Chase, you need to mark it executable. Like that's kind of stuff like Matt and I have known that for so many years now that sometimes we don't even think to mention it. And Chase will be there representing the person who's starting at square one and needs that help. And we'll be there representing the person who's been doing this for years. And I think it's going to be a really good merging of the two mindsets and perspectives on these projects. So that way we're going to be able to cover the whole spectrum, the high end and the beginners in the same show. Very excited about it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a show that has a ton of legs, and well, we'll hopefully get it launched in March.
Lots of hands-on goodness you guys are going to want to check out.
Yeah, and there's going to be a new model for that show that none of our other shows use. But if you're an Unfilter supporter, you might be semi-familiar. You'll recognize some of the similarities. And one of the things that we've heard from our Unfilter supporters is, Chris, could you please bring this model to all of your shows? Because once people become a supporter, they realize there's so many extra benefits and goodies. We're not going to do that exact model. It's going to be something a little more streamlined, something a little more digestible. But I think you're really going to like it. And it's if you become a super fan, there's going to be a bunch of benefits for you. And again, just follow that How To Linux, and of course we'll be making announcements here in the show.
Totally. It's definitely something. Just get on that Twitter page and subscribe to it, and then just kind of wait with bated breath.
And honestly, part of our goal too is to help Chase build up his Linux skill set so he becomes even more employable. He's out there looking for a gig right now, and this kind of thing I think will be helpful for him too.
That's right.
Give him that skill set. Now, one more thing I want to talk about, but I thought maybe we'd play the outtakes. Should we play the outtakes?
I haven't seen these, so I've been waiting to, because there are some good ones.
When three grown men go to a child's playground,
Chase,
there's going to be some outtakes.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've been wanting to see this.
All right, I'll play it right now.
All right.
Wait a minute. What?
I'm a one-take motherfucker.
Well, there we go.
I'm a one-take motherfucker. I'm Union. You f***. That's going to be the best take, you know that, right?
Should I do another one?
Yeah, you can do as many as you want.
You never have too many.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Are you rolling now?
Yeah, I got it.
You better be, bitch.
I got it.
Oh yeah, I see a light. Okay.
Dear great fish of Mount Vernon, I come to you seeking your best wishes for our new Linux show. Okay, Matt, you gotta rub the fish or else we don't get the good luck. I didn't come all this way not to ride on the slide, I'm just saying. All right, Chase, get your fish rubbing in.
Oh yeah. Hi, Leaper. That's his name, Leaper? Linux Leaper?
Mr. President, you want us to do a How To Linux show? Yeah. Okay, Mr. President. We'll get right on that.
Or
hello, everybody.
just explore the space. You try being 6'4".
Woo!
That's what happens when you have 3 nerds directing a film. All right.
Chase, that's not good luck. You're not going to give us good luck. Not harassing the fish.
It's stuck, man.
You're supposed to rub the fish.
Dude, you guys, seriously, it's stuck.
Yeah, that's right. You guys, you are dooming the show. Do not fist the fish. All right, I think that's probably fine.
All right.
So that was a lot of
my
fun.
God.
That
was awesome.
That was good times. And we got out of the studio. And
a lot of space.
One of the things that, one of the reasons why we shot that out of the studio was because we kind of wanted to send the message, too, that once we get moved into the new studio, ironically, we're going to actually try to do a lot of that show on location when we can. One of the ideas that we've been kicking around is there's so many awesome hardware and software makers right here in the Seattle area. The idea was, let's go to them and do a little bit of how it's made and say, hey, show us how you make product X, and we'll put it together in an episode and present it to the people. And we thought, well, if we're going to be doing on-location stuff, let's start with the announcement on location somewhere.
Makes sense to me. I'd love to see a Valve situation. You know?
Yeah, Valve. Yeah. Hey, Valve. Yeah. Hey, Valve.
Valve.
So, anyways, pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
So there is announcement number 2, but we do have one more thing to talk about, and then we're gonna have some fun in the feedback segment. So, you guys all know, you guys are hip to Linux Fest Northwest.
You've heard of that thing we're always talking about. Right?
Yeah, we mentioned it a few million times. So it kicks off on April 26th and 27th, and what we decided to do this year was Linux Fest Northwest. We're going to be there in a big way this year. We'll be doing a live show from Linux Fest Northwest Saturday and Sunday. How big? 2 booths big. That's how big. 2 booths big over at Linux Fest Northwest, but it gets better than that. I mean, you might be like, oh, Linux Fest, that sounds kind of cool. That sounds like a good idea. No, my friends, it's going to be a great idea, because if you can make it to Linux Fest Northwest, you can also be there for the party. Woo! We're going to have a Linux Action Show after party, and get ready for this. We're going to have a G Plus event that we'll have linked in the show notes. We want you guys to RSVP, because we're going to be renting a party bus. And after Linux Fest Northwest, we're going to load you all up in the party bus. We're going to drive down to the new studio where we will have food, a LAN party, and barbecue, as well as other shenanigans like Linux Action Show balloons, which is awesome.
Awesome in its own right.
See how good that logo looks even on a balloon?
I know,
you see what I'm talking about? It's like the perfect logo.
It really, really does.
Yeah, it goes.
Really pops
and
nice.
Yeah, there's going to be balloons at the Linux Action Show after party too. So if you want a balloon, you'll have to come. So anyways, if you've considered making the trip out to Linux Fest Northwest, do it. We'll have a link to the RSVP. We need to know who's going to make it, so that way we can plan for food and how many party buses we might need.
That's right. That's right. And we will. Food will be provided. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if you guys, so that's going to be the official by the way, that's the official in-person celebration of Last 300. So not only is it the Linux Fest Northwest after party, it's not only is it the new studio opening where we're going to have people over for the first time since moving into the new studio, but it's also going to be the official episode 300 celebration. We thought about doing something in person with you guys today on February 16th, but it just didn't make sense to ask everybody to travel out when Linux Fest Northwest is just a few weeks away. So we're going to combine all of the studio grand opening, Linux Fest Northwest, and Last 300 into one epic party. You guys can come down, you can see the new space, see how we do shows, and then stick around and join us for a live Linux Action Show the following Sunday. That'll be on the 27th. Yep. And be there in person. We'll have a live studio audience. Actually, we'll have a live fest audience, because I think we're going to be doing Last from Linux Fest Northwest on the floor this year. Woo! So I think we're going to have a ton of fun.
We need giant scissors and ribbon.
We do. You're right. We do have giant banners for our booths.
That would be kind of cool.
Double booths. Now, actually, I'm saying that over and over again to really commit the Linux Fest Northwest organizers to that.
If you guys are watching, Bill, 2 booths.
Yeah,
Bill,
and a really, a special thank you to my wife, Angela, who's been really behind the scenes working on all of this stuff, including the Linux Fest Northwest coordination, the new logo coordination, working with the designers, working with Teespring to get us a great arrangement there. That's right. And this is just the beginning of the good stuff. I mean, we're really getting a good team assembled now. And we're just getting started. I think that this is the beginning. This is the calm before the storm. That's right. Once we get a new space, once Rikai moves into the studio and he's handling the post-production, that's going to free me up to go on location. And that's why even if you're not going to make it to Linux Fest Northwest, you should still grab a shirt and a challenge coin, because if I can't do it in 2014, I promise you in 2015, we'll be hitting the road and coming to you.
Wow. Oh, man. Can you imagine that? It'll be like Antique Roadshow for Linux geeks.
Unless I have physically been harmed or ill in some form, that is going to happen. I promise you. So get your challenge coins, get your shirt, and then even if you can't join us, you'll still have an opportunity in the future to join us for a Linux Action Show live. That's all going to be dependent on...
We're talking driving?
Yeah, or flying or whatever it's going to take. I'm willing to. If we, in the future, like my wife and Angela, I like to say, in the new place. If the production side of things is going really well, and I can take a laptop and I can hit the road, I will.
Well, and the great thing about going, is flying is we can really test TSA's ability to crack encryption.
Right,
that'll be fun.
That's true too. So we are around the corner to year 8. I think year 8 is officially in June of the Linux Action Show.
Wow.
But the thing about doing a weekly show and the thing about doing 7 weekly shows means that I can never leave. I can never go anywhere because if I go anywhere, no shows get produced. And so that's going to be the big change with the new studio, with Rikai coming on board, is that load will be removed from me. And really all I will need to do a show is my Bonobo with Skype or Mumble or whatever, and a good microphone and a camera. And I can hit the road. And I think that's going to open up a lot of possibilities. So in the future, you're going to see some of that from us. But really, we're just starting. We're just getting started. So join us if you can at Linux Fest Northwest for the big celebration of Last 300. And, of course, Linux Fest is a good event. Now, I will warn you, Linux Fest does often have an after show on Saturdays. Yes. I don't really want to compete with that, but at the same time, I want to have a new studio opening.
Right? So, just putting that out there.
So I'm just letting you know that we might be in conflict. Now, they do have it's always good, too, if it's at the Radio Museum, but, you could do that every year.
Honestly, yeah, really. It's great, but this is kind of a one-time only thing with us. So.
Yeah, and I've already heard from some folks that I know are going to be making it. Oh, and Angela and Albert, I've just reposted the Linux Fest, the Linux Fest Northwest RSVP link in the
oh, nice.
chat room. So I'll grab that and make sure we have that in the show notes. So there we go. There is the Linux Fest Northwest. Are you going? Yes, I'm going to say yes right now. Yes.
There Make sure that goes in the show notes.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. See, he's got a little map in there, too. How cool is that? You can get directions, and you can see Bellingham is such a beautiful town, too. It's worth going. It's worth going.
Yeah, it's a little weird getting to Bellingham Technical College, but, you got GPS and stuff these days, so it's not as big a deal as it used to be back in the old days where it was kind of tricky.
No, and then you don't have to worry, like, if you want to do some drinking or you just want to relax, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about
microbrews in Bellingham. There's ample.
Oh yeah, and often for lunch we'll grab a couple of beers, and you don't want, if you don't, you're not gonna have to worry about finding places because that's where we're gonna hire the party bus, so that way we can escort everybody. And
that's right.
Yeah, that's gonna be on us, and that's part of what the new shirts will fund. Is also some of that money is gonna be spent on the party and things like that. So you can find out how to RSVP by going over to our Google Plus community or by clicking the link that I will have in the show notes. And don't forget to follow How To Linux on Twitter, twitter.com/HowToLinux for announcements on that. We'll let you know here on this show, too, when it kicks off. But, oh, my gosh, am I excited.
There's so much happening. It's just like,
And we've got so many cool plans already. We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of submissions that you guys want to see from the How To show. And in that little form, there's a little bit of a hint there. In that little form, it said, would you like a How To Linux show? Out of hundreds and hundreds, only 8 people said no.
Whoa!
And ironically, the people that said no all talked about how, well, this would actually work really good in a how-to show if you did it like this. So I don't know if they knew they clicked no.
Well, I think a lot of people start out with one train of thought, at least myself, and you kind of end up going another way.
Yeah.
So basically, it was almost anonymous.
So there is one last just sort of meta announcement for the Linux Action Show, and this is something that we're doing to also help bolster this show, is we've brought on 2 producers for the Linux Action Show. 2 producers. The big show needs 2 producers.
Right.
Q5Sys and Michael, also a.k.a. Rotten Corpse, in the chat room will be our producers for this show. They're going to help us find more and more guests to line up more people to bring on to the big show, so that way we can get more great interviews, and that's going to expand from there, too. So all of the show's qualities will be going up because that's also going to feed into Linux Unplugged. They're also going to be helping production with Linux Unplugged. So Linux Unplugged and Linux Action Show just got a reinvestment, and we're going to make these shows even better, and Linux How To is going to be even better, but we still need your help. So if you'd like to become the producer for How To Linux, go fill out the form, embed it in our show notes, or click the link, and let us know your information, and we might be just in contact very soon.
Local's awesome, but we'll work with remote.
All right, Matt. Well, that's everything we have for this segment. Why don't we go give away some games with a tough Linux trivia? And that brings us to the end of episode 300. But hey, Matt.
Yes.
We have a little bit of feedback to get to, and we our Linux Action Show live audience crushed the onlinequizcreator.com servers. So we are holding the quiz. We will leave it open. If you're not watching live, you can find a link in the show notes. Here's the thing. It requires that you create an account. So create an account. You can do a throwaway account. In fact, you don't even have to confirm your email address with them. And use an IRC nick that we will recognize. So that way, when you join the IRC on Tuesday for Linux Unplugged, you can be awarded your Steam game. So here's how it's going to work. We already have people now that are trying. People can retake the quiz, I think. I'm not sure.
New email address.
But yeah, or you could do like B, or I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, my point is don't cheat, because I only have so many Steam games. Yes. But we're going to be giving away Steam games to some of the highest score. You won't be able to beat my score. But that's what a perfect score looks like, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, at best, maybe you can tie. That's impressive.
And then we'll go through here. And so because the server's down, we couldn't get it all done today, and people, they're starting and then the quiz is failing. It's a timed quiz, too, so it makes it like a really contentious kind of...
Their word on the street is that you can retake the quiz if it didn't work out the first time.
Okay, all right. So here's the thing. So we'll have a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Go try out the quiz. Test your Linux knowledge. There's 10 trivia questions. And then if you get a high score, you'll be entered the drawing for some free Steam stuff. And I got some great Steam games to give away. We'll be doing that giveaway on Tuesday's Linux Unplugged. That'll give everyone watching a chance to go out there and grab it. The live folks, the people on download, and then we'll do the giveaway in Unplugged.
Make sure to be there.
All right, Matt. Yeah. We got a little email to get to. Kyle wrote in following up from last week's episode. He says, "Hi, Chris and Matt. Writing in to respond to the question you guys threw out there during last week's news segment regarding the commit numbers for the Linux kernel. Remember how it's all commercial pretty much. And the question was, has Linux gone capitalist? Well, I have to say, I think the answer is no. To answer the question, we have to ask ourselves what the definition of capitalist production is. One common definition is production through wage labor and commodity sold on the market, in which the profits mainly go to the capitalists who paid for the wage labor and not to the workers who did most of the work." I see where he's going here. Even though most of the work on the Linux kernel is done by corporations and not volunteers, I think this can be said to be true of Linux. Sure, the work is done by workers being paid in wages by capitalist organizations, but the Linux kernel is not a commodity. No one sells a license to use it, and it's shared freely among everyone. The work on the Linux kernel would be fundamentally changed if all universities, government labs, cooperatives, or small businesses fundamentally are contributing to it in the same way. Going forward, the Linux kernel is an input to a massive number of commodities, but so are public parks, public healthcare, public education, and public water, and no one is calling them commodities. So this is interesting, right? Because of the GPL. And
it's a pretty strong argument, actually.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting is, so recently, contributing to the Upstart project and the CLA was called working without wage, because the CLA is sort of, you give work to somebody for a product and they can take and do whatever they want. However, I don't know if I agree with that analogy after reading this email, because what Kyle's pointing out is because of the GPL, even if 100,000 commercial companies work on something, everyone benefits. True. Everyone gets to reap that. And that's a great point. He goes on to say the Linux kernel is a common resource. And as long as it's not monopolized by any companies who restrict its public access to turn it into a commodity, I think it will stay that way. The companies who contribute to Linux kernel benefit from keeping it as a common resource by each only contributing a portion of the work required for it to grow. So even as a diehard socialist, I have to say I'm not worried about its future. Kyle.
That's an interesting argument. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I agree that everybody's going to benefit from it, and that no one's really got the lockdown. So.
What? Chat room is saying somebody beat my score? How is that possible?
How is that possible? I thought he got a perfect score.
I had a perfect score.
We totally segued out of that.
Sorry. Oh my God, it has. How did that happen?
What the hell?
Wait, now hold on a second. Oh, you know what?
What?
They answered it faster.
Oh, shit.
Time counts. Good job. Good job, guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's good job. Good for you.
That's really good. Okay.
All right. Okay. So, and it's funny because I came up with all the questions. Nexus writes in about Texas Linux Fest. Howdy, Chris and Matt. Just want to tell you all about tell you all about Texas Linux Fest. You can find it at texaslinuxfest.org. Right. Texas Linux Fest 2014 is the 5th annual Linux and open source software event for Texas and the surrounding region. And it's going to be at the Austin Convention Center June 13th and 14th. Love all the JB shows, even the BSD one. Next to it.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Wow, I cannot believe people in the chat room are already beating me.
I know, right? They figured out the whole time thing. They're like, oh, yeah, I bet I can script this.
Well, I'm not a fast man, Matt. I'm not a fast man. I take my time. So, listen, a couple of other things I just want to wrap up on. I never even thought this would happen, but with the Target credit card breaches, when people are getting issued new credit cards, PayPal and Amazon like to help you guys out by canceling all of your subscriptions. So if you are a subscriber on a monthly basis to the Jupiter Broadcasting Network or to Unfilter or any particular thing, double check your subscription for us if you would, especially as we're ramping up all this new stuff. We had 20 credit card cancellations over the weekend because people must be getting issued new cards.
I think that's what's going on. And so my advice to you guys is you're confident that you're fine and that you're still subscribed.
Just double
check anyway, please. Yeah. That would be awesome.
And everybody we've reached out to so far, at first, because it was only a few, we just emailed them all directly and said, hey, did you see this happen? Cool. And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry. And it was every single time, Target. Yeah. And thankfully, Amazon gives us a little readout that says there was a credit card change. And so as per the Amazon policy, we've auto-canceled it.
Right.
Horrible policy. But I do understand from a security standpoint why they do it.
At the very least, they could throw in an email to the people that are getting the stuff. Hey, by the way, if you have subscriptions, check them.
Although, you know what I found, too, is so many people who sign up have, like a throwaway account they use for that kind of stuff.
Crap.
And so it just goes to the throwaway account and they never even know about it. And it's affecting PayPal too, although Amazon, it seems to be more on the Amazon side.
Right.
But we have had a couple of PayPals canceled as well. So if you would consider checking that, or if you'd like to support the network and support our future endeavors and help us grow, you can help us do that by going over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/support and becoming a monthly donor.
Yes.
Matt, is there anything you'd like to send people to throughout the week?
Always, you can find me at datamation.com. Scroll down to open source. I've always got an article or two going up there. I think I have a new one up there as well right now. And as always, Linux Unplugged.
Yep, we'll have a good one this Tuesday. We'll be doing the giveaway finals.
Yes.
You'll have time to do the trivia until Linux Unplugged too. So the server outage kind of worked because it gave the download folks a chance to try as well.
Well, and while you're waiting for that server to load, it gives you a chance to check your subscriptions and to check out my article.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Over at datamation.com.
Yeah.
And enjoy our new logo.
Yes.
Look
right?
Actually, why don't we check in and see how we're doing towards the bottom of the
it was 100 plus last
100 plus?
It was at least 100. It was at least 100. Yeah.
No way, really?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's do the big reveal. I'll scroll down.
Yeah, because I
94.
Oh, 94. Okay. I thought it was 100. Someone said 100. You chat room guys.
Maybe that was.
Sneaky.
People can cancel.
Yeah. Oh, no. It may have been just maybe the counter's off.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, maybe I should refresh. I don't know.
Yeah, refresh it.
So we have a goal of 754. These don't unlock until we hit 74. So if we don't hit 754, none of them will sell. But yeah, it looks like 94 now.
Okay.
It goes up soon.
I thought we had 100. That's okay though.
That's
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Okay. So thank you everybody. Again, you can find that at teespring.com/last.
Really good, strong start.
I want to wrap up by two last things. Don't forget you can join us live, jblive.tv, 10 a.m. Pacific over at JB Live. You can find it on the calendar for your specific time zone. It works out to be 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UTC. And with the live show, always a lot more shenanigans, a lot more things going on in the live show. And Linux Unplugged is also a great one to join us live because we have our virtual lug and you can hang out in our open Mumble room. And we invite you to do so.
Yes.
Also, I want to say thank you to all of you who've watched for 2 episodes or if you've watched for all 300 episodes. We really wouldn't be here without you and without your support. And all of the ways you guys are an awesome, passionate community, and we really appreciate it.
We do.
So thank you very much for 300 episodes. I hope you enjoyed the celebration. We'll be back next week. Now that we've got a production team, we're going to get right down to it. Oh yeah, we have a physical mail sack to open before we go.
I was going to say just one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. So we were sent in some physical mail for last 300. So let's open up. I think it's a collection of goodies because Angela already broke into hers. So
Did she?
Yeah,
nice.
Sorry,
Okay, I'm with her. Wow, they really sealed that up.
Yeah, this is like really sealed. We had our Runs Linux was a live unboxing, and now our mail sack is a live unboxing.
Holy cow!
All right, okay, this one's like double wrap too.
Holy.
Wow, all right, so it's double wrap. Okay, all right. I think this is a note. Look at this. What do we have here? Oh, nice. Linux Inside sticker.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Bacon. That is awesome.
As an element. As an
element, yes. So we have bacon.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah. Obey.
I like that. That's so going in my stuff. Got to open SUSE. Nice.
So, boy, look at all. Hold
Skynet. Awesome.
Look at this one. It's the take on that famous painting, only it's got Batman up in the sky. Isn't that great? Is that awesome? Yeah. With the Joker on there. Oh, look at
this one is I kind of like this. My wife might.
Let's see here. I'm not good at fixing computers. I'm just better at Googling than you. That's a good sticker.
And this is probably my winning sticker. I'm not a blinking unicorn. So I like
Check out this one.
It's awesome.
Skynet inside. Look at that.
Yeah, I got the Google Skynet. That's awesome. That's cool. That is fantastic.
So I think these come from viewer Seth, who sent in.
Awesome. This is who. Okay, so that's who contacted me.
Yep.
I remember seeing the subject line, "Dear Lord Hartley," which immediately got opened.
Yeah.
So I'm responding to you if you're getting this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm totally responding. So cool.
So should I? I got to either decorate my Chromebook or my Bonobo with these kinds of things. Well, yes, Seth, I did pass these on to Matt. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. Thank you, Seth. That is so cool.
Really cool.
And I will definitely be getting back to you on that.
Skynet. Oh, a WebRTC one. How did he get all of these?
I know, right? I mean, these stickers are off the chain.
What's in the box and it's got blood on the bottom? That's funny.
I mean, seriously, these stickers are awesome.
GPL version 3 sticker.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know. MySQL sticker. Hashtag bang. Pound bang.
Yeah, I'm literally, these are all going on my laptop. Seriously.
Well, aren't you a fun little lollipop triple dipped in Psycho? I didn't know they made a sticker.
Wow, they barely met one of my exes. Okay, yeah. That's,
yikes, man.
Just saying.
Yeah, boy, this is, look at all this.
Stabby.
This
just
is
saying.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Seth, very much.
That is so awesome.
A fun way to wrap up episode 300. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for tuning this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. Don't forget, we'd like to hear from you. Go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact or join us in our active IRC chat room.
Yes.
That's on irc.geekshed.net. Pound Jupiter Broadcasting. It's always good to be there live, or when we're not live. There's still people in there going all the time when we're not live. So it's always a great place to hang out.
That's right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you right back here next week.
Jazz hands.
Man, we're just getting started, too. We are just getting started. Did your power go out last night?
Nope.
Oh, my gosh. So...
Live next to a hospital.
Lights on, off. Lights on, off. Lights on, off.
Flicker.
And I'm like, and so out here in the studio, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of gear running 24/7, and I'm just like, oh god, do not fry the studio the night before Linux Action Show 300. So finally, the power goes out enough so that everything turns off.
Oh,
so I leave it off all night, and then like come back out in the morning, and you know what happens when I leave stuff off? Do you know what happens? Fan grinds. So I turn on 2 pieces of equipment. It's like,
nothing like the smell of burning bearings in the morning.
Like,
right?
really? Really? So the first thing this morning, I'm in that computer out there. It's freezing out here, and I'm in the computer replacing the damn CPU fan. I'm really, really, really happy with the way this logo turned out.
Yes.
And, yeah, we wanted something that we wanted something that could be stamped. We wanted something that could be a coin. We wanted something that could be a sticker. We wanted something that could be something else that we're going to show you later. My son Dylan, you know, he always likes to be involved with what Daddy's doing, and he says to me, he says, "Dad, can I go with you guys?" And this was about like 11 a.m. in the morning. And I say, "Oh gosh, Dylan, I don't know." Because at the time, I was thinking we were going to go to a bar.
Yeah.
And we'd get some beers. We'd just have the beers there, and we'd have like the papers out on the table, and we'd be like just like, you know, going back and forth. Oh, we got this problem we got to solve. And I was like, no, so Dylan, you can't go because only daddies are allowed where we're going. And then like we started talking about it, and like we realized, well, we're only going to be shooting for about 10 minutes, and it takes about an hour to set up at a restaurant, and you know we have to get permission and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought, well,
it's kind of a pain.
It's kind of a nice day out. Yeah. Maybe we'll just go out to a park. And then we got up to the Burlington Mount Vernon area, and we're like, well, we don't really know what park to go to. And then we ended up at a playground, and I'm like, I just immediately, like, this guilt washes over me, like, oh, so Dylan could have come, and they've just been playing around in the background on a playground.
But it started out okay because initially there weren't kids there.
Right.
No. But, then the kids and their families come in, and of course we're acting like complete tool bags.
Yeah. And you'll have to sign up if you want to show up on the leaderboard. And you should probably sign up with your IRC nickname if you want to be on the leaderboard. And you need to be on the leaderboard if you want me to know that you scored high and want to get a free game.
The server's dying. They can't load the page?
Yeah. Yeah, we just did a little last DOS, but that's okay.
That's all right. A little reload, you know, because that helps it go faster.
Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Linux Trivia. Come on down, try your Linux Trivia, and win a free Steam game. Come on down.
The next segment in a 3. Yay! In a 2.